So I started this new project 2 weeks ago, and in this project, I decided to learn something new every day. And I decided to spend about half an hour of my time to learn something new and focus on that new thing and to see how much I can progress using just the internet and learning on my own without any supervision, without any help, just the internet resources as my teacher. So the 2 weeks ago, I started with Python from scratch, pretty much, and I'm just curious how much I can learn. And this is so what I've learned so far, because today I'm gonna start the first teeny tiny project. I'm gonna try to create a database in Python which will store some little information about the movie collection I have. So what have I learned so far? So the first thing I learned was about printing in Python with formatting. So that was the first thing I learned, and this is the basic building blocks, I believe. So the second thing I learned was about variables, and the variables I learned about strings, which are the characters enclosed with either single or double quotes. I learned about um, integers, so any number, negative, positive, without any fraction. I learned about floats. So those are the numbers that are more precise with a dot uh, uh, in them, and for fraction. What does that's the three basic, I think, three basic data types. Now, I just learned also about data structures. Basic, I should say. Basic. So these are variables. These are variables in which I stored data types. So that's actually more accurate, right? Basic data structures such as lists, slicing, looping, adding, removing. What else did I learn? Dictionaries. Actually, first tuples, which were similar to lists, but immutables. They are immutable, so they cannot change their values. They can only overwrite them. Dictionaries, which are key value pairs. Pairs. What else? And I learned if statement, which controls the flow of the program, how it's being executed, not necessarily top down with these statements. There is a Boolean values, true, false. Boolean, true, true, false. And what else did I learn? Okay, and loops. For with range function and loop and while loop. And that's pretty much the basics I've learned so far. So today I'm going to start my little teeny tiny project, movie collection database, written in Python, and let's see how far I can go with it. So today I'm going to start with my limited understanding and very few commands I learned in Python. I'm going to start my project. In this project, I'm going to try to create a small useful tool, sort of movie collection database, which will be very, very simple, but is going to store information about each movie I have, and that will be the title of the movie, director, the year it was released, the length of the movie, and the genre. Now for these, pretty much I'm gonna choose as my data type, it's going to be string. Well, length could be float technically, but I want to make sure that everybody understands it. If I say 1.3, it's 1.3 hours. So maybe it's going to be string. But for genre, though, I'm going to use a Python list because I want to keep keywords in a genre such as adventure, action, sci-fi, and so on and so forth. Now, what about the data structure that is going to hold my movie information? I think because dictionary has the key value pairs, I think that's going to be pretty good here, and it's going to serve its purpose. So let's get started. So the first file I'm going to create, I'm going to open my editor, Vim editor, and I'm going to call this file movie collection. Let's just say like that. .py. So I did some digging on the internet, and I decided that my mini movie collection database is going to be kept in a text file in a JSON format. Now, why JSON? I did some reading, some research, and it seems simple enough to start a little project like that. So the first building block of that database is going to be that I need to have a little information about each movie. And I decided to go for a dictionary, like I said. So how would I go about that? So dictionary basically is going to be like this: movie info. Let's call it movie info. And the dictionary is basically key value pairs in the braces. Now on the right hand side, I decided that these are going to be categories kept in my movie. So how would I do that? So in this particular situation, we can start off. Now, I learned quickly that the brace opening the dictionary has to be in the same line as the definition, the word that is going to be representing that dictionary. You cannot do this. I tried. It does errors. But if I have this, it works every time. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my title is going to be my first key in the dictionary. So we do this in a quotes. We separate the key and value with a colon. And now what I'm going to use in a moment, actually maybe later, is that this title will be already given to the dictionary because that's going to be part of my function. So for now, I'm not going to specify the actual title, but the variable that will represent title every time I want to create a new movie information. So it is going to be my variable. Not variable that is going to store that information. It's going to be, I don't know, movie underscore title. That's separate with comma and onto the next key. So the next key in my dictionary is going to be director. And again, we separate key and value with a comma, with a colon. And the variable that will be given to that dictionary later in the function is going to be called, director, maybe, for lack of a better word. The next is going to be year. And the variable that will be given to this is also year. It's going to be, the next key is length of the movie. And length variable will provide that information. Finally, the genre key is going to store actual a list of options. So it's going to be called genre. And that's it, pretty much. So that's my dictionary. And I know it's going to work if I replace, let's just actually run this. So if I were to create maybe those values, so let's just add movie title. So that's going to be something sent as a parameter to the function title. Is going to be, I don't know, Tron. The variable director is going to be, who was the director? Steven Lisberger. The next one is going to be year. It will be it was 1982 if memory serves. Length variable will hold. It'll be 1.36. I'm just guessing here. And genre is going to be action in quotes. That's a string. And sci-fi, let's just say. Oh, we're gonna have one more maybe. How about this? Year. We're gonna have a rating. Oh, I forgot about rating. Is it for kids or not? And maybe parents rating. Parent rating. Let's use rating for that, comma. So we're gonna have year after year. We're gonna have a rating. For example, it's PG, and that's it. So if I now replace those variables, the values of my dictionary, with these exactly. So if I display now the print movie info, let's see if that works. Let's minimize that window, open my other terminal, fully Python 3 movie collection. Okay, I have somewhere here down the road I made a typo. Yeah, I didn't close my list with a bracket. Now let's do it again. It works. But obviously I want to create my movie collection database in such a way that the user, myself, is going to be asked, okay, do you want to add another movie information to the database? And he's going to ask me those questions. He's going to collect information into the variables here and put them in the dictionary. So the first thing I want to do is I want to turn this dictionary movie info into a function which I can call from my code and provide that information collected beforehand. So how do I change that thing into a function? So this way, let me just remove lines from 1 to 7. Delete. I can turn that very easily into information, into function, that movie info, by doing the definition. So what I'm going to do is define a function that is going to be called collect movie info, because that's what it is. Now it's going to take parameters, and which parameters is it going to take? Well, the ones I have here in the form of a variable, so it can assign them as a key and value pairs. So I need to basically copy that. So collect movie, remember, now we need to do this and that. Now this will need to be all indented. So there's a trick in Vim I can use and inject those indentations. And now what I need to do inside, so I'll be giving, when I call the function, I'll be giving the function the parameters, the arguments, and those arguments will be exactly as specified here. So this way I'm going to copy that and pass that into the function. Now, you know what? I'm going to go like this. Let's see later on if that's going to work. For now, I'll just go like that. Movie title. Actually, we can squeeze one more at least. Director. Director. And maybe one more, year. Then we can go like that. And what's following year is rating, variable, then length, and then genre. So that we can separate that now. And we can add this doc string, which explains what the function is going to do. Function collecting information about a movie, because that's a single movie. And that is the start of my program. So I've just created a function that collects information, which I'm going to later on store in the form of JSON file on my disk so it doesn't disappear.